Thanks for joining us at xm.com. In this preview video, we'll be looking at the Bank of England policy meeting coming up on Thursday and the outlook for the pound. I'm Cristina Marocos. With me today is Cristina Barthenidu, our investment analyst. Cristina, the Bank of England is not expected to change policy at this meeting. However, at a time when other central banks around the world gradually open the door to possible rate cuts over the summer, do you think Bank of England policymakers may also comment on potential rate cuts as well?
Hi, Christina, and thank you for having me. Indeed, the Bank of England is not expected to make any changes on interest rates this week. Also, no economic projections are expected. Then there will be no press conference following the meeting either. So the focus will be on the rate statement, and particularly investors will look to see whether they can find any extra details about when and how a rate cut will take place in the year ahead after one policymaker voted for a rate cut in February. And more importantly, I think everyone is interested to learn whether the Fed, the ECB, and the Bank of England will synchronize their policy actions by delivering a rate cut in June. Currently, futures markets are providing around 50% probability for a rate cut in June in the UK and 70% probability for a rate cut in August. Currently, there was progress on the inflation front, and we did see some weakness in the latest employment report too, but this will not be enough for policymakers to call for a rate cut. Inflation is still around 4% year on year and higher than in major economies. And this week's CPI data for February might still be exposed to a positive surprise given the inflation rebound in other major countries. So the central bank might not feel confident in signaling a June rate cut as soon as this week. Moreover, there will be some wage growth announcements in April. Some increases in payments are expected. So perhaps this is somehow, justifies what Andrew Bailey said last month when he said that interest rates could go down before inflation reaches the central bank's 2% target. Perhaps policymakers are waiting to see some measures such as wage growth, services prices, and tight labor supply easing sustainably before they confidently put rate cuts on the table. And we'll get more business data on Thursday when the flash business PMI figures come out before the rate announcement. The data will be for the month of March. But again, I think that the second quarter data could be more important for making a decision about, for making a decision for the summer.
And now let's turn to the market reaction for the pound. The Bank of England policy meeting, it's interesting to say, comes just a day after the Fed policy meeting. So how can we see the pound-dollar pair move this week?
Well, the rate decision itself is not expected to move the pound, and the voting structure could also stay the same. So unless the central bank adjusts its language in the rate statement to increase the possibility of an earlier rate cut, that could add some pressure on the British pound. But I think this will not be the case this time. I believe that the central bank might stay on the sidelines and wait for more evidence to see how the economy performs. The UK exited a mild technical recession in January. Policymakers are optimistic that the economy can enjoy a soft rebound this year. They also think that inflation can temporarily drop to 2% in the second quarter before it turns up again and stabilizes slightly below 2% in 3 years. So perhaps this week's data for February might not be a big market mover, especially if they show a bigger than expected decline. Perhaps flash business PMI figures for March could be more up to date. But again, as I said before, the second quarter data might be more valuable for the central bank and for the British pound. In the meantime, any delays of rate cut signals could have a positive impact on the British pound, which is currently trading near a key support region against the US dollar. Another question, of course, this week is whether the Fed's new dot plot will change, whether we'll see surprises there. That could also bring some volatility in the British pound.
Cristina, thanks so much. The Bank of England meets on Thursday. This was a preview video here at xm.com.